Hey super friends, my name is Neil and I am here with a cup of tea, ready to enjoy the first clip from Matt Reeves' The Batman. Let's not forget that The Batman is in UK cinemas from Warner Brothers Pictures on March the 4th, 2022. If you enjoy this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button on our channel and ring the bell so that you can be notified whenever we release brand new video content. So let's put the headphones in and get going on this brand new clip. Okay, so this is the funeral scene that we've glimpsed in the film's trailers a couple of times before, so we know that something is coming. But right now we're just getting to focus on Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne and this lady that he's walking into this funeral with. Now we don't know who the funeral is. There is an image in front of the church or the chapel, cathedral, by the coffin of whoever it is. There is also the grieving widow, and we're about to get to the child who sat at the front. That's kind of a reflection for Bruce himself. But let's just focus on the dialogue between the two of them. Well, I say between the two of them. Robert Pattinson isn't saying anything here. What we're getting is this is a very stoic version of Bruce Wayne. He looks sullen. He's not saying a word. He's simply just walking along with this woman as she's talking to him. She mentions that if she is elected, then she wants to do something about the problems in Gotham. And she's appealing to him due to his family history. So presumably, maybe this is the funeral of Gotham's mayor, potentially taken out by the Riddler, if we know Riddler at this point in the film. Don't forget, we don't know when this happens in the film's supposedly 2 to 3 hour runtime. So this could be anywhere. This could be the start. This could be the middle. This could be right towards the end. But what we do know is that she is obviously somebody who's running for office within Gotham at the moment. So she's clearly going to be an important character moving forwards. Let's see what happens next. Again, Bruce isn't saying anything, focusing on the child.
I'm gonna go pay my respects. Will you wait for me? I'm gonna continue this.
He's still not saying anything, so it's interesting. The look on his face seems to be portraying everything here. It's all in the face rather than anything else. So here the boy is turning around and looking directly at Bruce in the face. Now, okay, he may recognise him. He is Bruce Wayne after all. But this is a moment between the two of them. These are both young men who have lost parents. Seemingly that is the boy's mum that sat next to him, I would imagine. But this is a situation where Bruce is seeing himself reflected in this young child. And if we want to think about the psychological context of Batman, then this is going to ring really, really true for him. It's going to hit home very, very hard that this is another young man in Gotham who's lost a parent due to the crime and the corruption that is Gotham City. So this is Bruce really seeing himself and making him reflect on how he's got to the position that he's in now.
Excuse me, Chief. I need to talk to you.
Gordon?
Gil Coulson is missing. What? Hasn't been heard from since last night. Christ, not again.
Okay, so this actually reminds me of a scene from Batman 89, which is quite a nice little reflection in a way. It goes with the shirt. So if you might recall in the party scene at Wayne Manor in Batman 89, there is the moment where Commissioner Gordon is called away because they understand that Jack Napier, who will eventually become the Joker, is clearing out Axis chemicals. And it is a moment that Michael Keaton's Bruce Wayne sees later on video, but is something that Alfred picks up on. But this just nicely reflects that idea of kind of a big crowded scene within Gotham's elite, the fact that there's this moment of Gordon trying to appeal to the forces that there's something going on here. It's just, I don't know, it just reflects it really, really nicely for me. But let's think about what's going on. So Gil Coulson is mysteriously disappeared. I wonder whether he might appear in just a minute. We're seeing some of that wider context of what's happening in Gotham here. We're seeing, how Gordon works with his captain. We're seeing how he interacts with the other GCPD officers. We're getting a sense of that wider world of Gotham that's going on around Bruce Wayne. Bruce immediately hears this, he's picked up on it, he's involved, he's now listening to that at the same time as he's kind of having this moment of reflection with the child. And it looks like he's about to get recognised by another police officer, but let me hit play again.
Hey, Mr. Wayne.
Yes. So that's interesting because we know that this version of Bruce Wayne isn't necessarily a playboy within Gotham, but still he's obviously recognisable to these people. So that police officer, has seen him. He's like, oh, it's Bruce Wayne. So clearly he's still a face and a name within Gotham City that he's recognisable, even if he's not maybe living the playboy lifestyle that other versions of the character have in past versions of these films. I've got a cat about to jump up on the desk. Uh-oh.
Sent a couple guys to his house. Nothing.
What does wife say?
She hadn't heard from him.
So this is interesting. You can hear screams and some faint stuff going on outside the cathedral. So clearly what we're seeing here is that Matt Reeves is choosing to focus on what's happening inside the cathedral rather than focusing on the action that's going on outside. It's clear there's something going on. Now, if you've seen the trailer, you know what is about to happen next. But let's think about it in the context of the film. This is choosing character over action at this point. So here comes the cat's tail. We're choosing the action over the character, as I was saying. So we're seeing Matt Reeves wanting to focus on the emotion of the story rather than maybe the impact of what's about to happen next. We're building tension rather than just literally going from this conversation to bang, something is happening. We could track what's about to happen from outside as it happens and enters into the cathedral, as you'll see in a second where it lines up with the trailer. But rather than do that, Reeves is being very measured in his approach, which I really appreciate, because again, a lot of this scene is focusing on Robert Pattinson, his face. Yes, we've seen the child's face, and we've also seen Gordon in cutaway moments, but really everything is focusing back on Robert Pattinson, his face, and how he is communicating Bruce Wayne's emotions through his facial expressions. Remember, this is, let me double check, we are now 1 minute into this clip and he hasn't uttered a word. And as far as I can tell, I don't believe that he actually utters a single word in this entire clip. So this is Pattinson purely communicating to us through facial expression. But let's see what happens next. So more screaming, everyone is starting to react to it now inside. Clearly something is coming and we're about to hit that trailer moment. So there's Riddler, presumably, so that would appear to be Paul Dano's character up on the balcony of the cathedral there, so clearly he's watching his chaos. So let's just think about what this tells us about his version of Riddler for a moment. He's in silhouette because of the light that's behind him. We're not focusing on the character of who he is, we're focusing on the action. This again is Bruce Wayne's moment, so we cut from seeing Paul Dano up on that balcony again to Robert Pattinson's face, seeing his expression as he realizes that this villain, this figure who is taunting Gotham, is above them, looking down on them as chaos is about to ensue. So again, it's that look on Pattinson's face that's communicating what's going on, what's in his head at this moment. What this says about Riddler, I think what we're seeing here is the fact that he is a presence. He is not necessarily a face and a name. He is a shadow. He is something which is looming over these people as he looms over the city. He is a threat, a faceless threat, a nameless threat. He's not saying anything. So at this point in time, he's a voiceless threat as well. His mere presence is what is causing chaos here, and that makes him quite a foreboding villain at this point. He's quite that's scary in its own way. That's quite scary, and is definitely rooted in ideas of maybe horror in that respect, because it's not, he's not running around in a green question mark suit cackling. He's not enjoying what he's doing right now in terms of overtly kind of laughing at the people. He's just watching calmly, and then also in that respect he's kind of reflecting Bruce's silence. There's a stoic nature to both of them, so that's an interesting play that could tie into theories about who ultimately they are, or connection between the two of them. Anyway, the car is coming, so let's go. There it is. So we hit the trailer moment. Bruce runs for the boy, still not saying anything, not screaming get out of the way. And Riddler calmly walking away. Again, the reaction on Bruce's face, still just focusing on that facial expression. Again, Bruce is now turning and looking to see what's going on, looking at the car.
Get out of the car! Get out of the car and show your hands!
So Gordon here doesn't seem to necessarily understand what's happening with the Riddler and what his modus operandi is. So there doesn't seem to be an understanding that maybe this isn't the villain who's in the car. He's screaming get out of the car as if maybe he's thinking there's an aggressor here rather than potentially a victim. So we've seen from the trailer there's the victim with whom Riddler is pulling the tape and taping around the face. So there's an understanding from that Riddler is maybe killing off members of Gotham's elite and presenting them as puzzles to Batman and the GCPD. this kind of indicates to me that maybe this is early in the film, because there doesn't seem to be that level of understanding here that might be who is behind the wheel of this car. What happens next? Again, Bruce's face, just watching. He's taking everything in. Okay, so it's Gil Coulson. It's the man that Commissioner Gordon was Lieutenant Gordon was just talking about earlier in this clip. So he's the one that's exited this car. He's taped up much like the other victim that we saw in the first trailer for this film. He has the letter taped to his chest that says "to the Batman." He has a phone taped to his hand, and his mouth is taped up so he can't speak. So what does this tell us? Riddler is taking away the voices of his victims. He's taking away their ability to communicate what's happened to them. He is the puppet master here. He's controlling them. He's telling them what they're going to say. All he's able to tell them is whatever this phone is going to communicate, and whatever that letter tapes to his chest, and whatever that letter tapes to his chest is going to be able to say. This is very much Riddler speaking through, but not presenting himself to the people of Gotham. He's continuing to, as I just said, be the puppet master. He's pulling the strings from behind the scenes. He's watched it. He's walked away. He's enjoying this moment. Now he's going to leave the chaos to unravel in front of this group of people. Another look on Bruce's face. The phone rings. More chaos, but Bruce refusing to move. So Bruce has spotted the letter that's taped to Gil Coulson's chest, but notice that everyone around Bruce is now running and screaming and escaping from the cathedral. They're all making their way apart from the GCPD. You know, they're saying it's a bomb. Bruce not moving completely. Again, just the face, very still, very, very measured movements, taking everything in and watching. You can tell at this point he probably wants to dive at this guy and pull that letter off and try and save him, but you know, he's not in costume, so he can't. It's all very reserved, very restrained. A really, really, really strong emotional performance from Robert Pattinson. It's communicating a lot without him even making a single noise, which is very exciting. Oh, and that's it. Well, there we go. That was the first official clip from Matt Reeves, the Batman. What else do we have to say about this? I think I've said it all, really. It really is a very, very measured performance from Robert Pattinson, which is exciting. This is a different Bruce Wayne. I mean, Michael Keaton's version wasn't the most communicative, but he wasn't silent like this for huge sequences. This is almost like the scene outside of Gotham City kind of Council where Joker throws the feather into the mobster's neck, and then Bruce Wayne just stands there while the Joker goons are kind of shooting and everyone's running around and screaming. It's reminiscent of that moment. So there are definitely callbacks to previous versions of Batman in that respect, or reflected here, which I think are really exciting. But this is so new and so different. It's going to be really interesting to see how this plays out. I think what this clip is telling us is that there's a lot of nuance to his version of at least Bruce Wayne, and that there's going to be a really big difference between that kind of Bruce Wayne characterization and that Batman characterization. From what we've seen of Batman in the trailers, you know, he's throwing punches, he's very vocal, he's making noise, whereas Bruce is internalizing everything, or trying to reconcile everything somehow on what it means to him and his mission. So there's a lot in that performance that this is telling us. And then with you know, Paul Dano's character with Riddler, this is telling us that he is the puppet master. He is pulling the strings of Gotham to his own end, his own means here, and that actually this is where the whole detective idea of Batman is going to come into it, because he's got to piece together these clues and figure out who this guy is that's standing above everyone, looking down and judging them for whatever reason it is that will be unravelled when the Batman hits cinemas on March the 4th, 2022. So until the next clip, or the next trailer, or the next poster, enjoy, make sure and subscribe. You can watch other videos that we've released around the Batman, all available now on our channel, and I will see you next time. Bye. Thanks for watching, Super Friends. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to hit the subscribe button just down below and hit the bell so that you can get notified whenever we release brand new videos. In fact, there's 2 more waiting for you to watch right here below. So what are you waiting for? Why not click play?